So I have with me James Trimble of Event Booking, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you today about celebrations and company culture. So first of all, congratulations for you guys winning the Inc. Best Workplace second year in a row.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a huge honor. It's actually a wonderful way to gather feedback from your team.
Well, what do you think are some of the reasons that Event Booking was selected?
I think that we are selected, and I think that we are growing in general because I'm gonna boil it down to one key thing, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We are transparent. Transparency is super important for building trust with your employees, and there's always room to be more transparent.
What do you think is unique about the way that your company is more transparent, and how have you fostered a culture that encourages that?
What we decided a couple of years ago is that we wanted to have core values within our company, which, you know, lots of companies have a mission statement and core values.
Mm-hmm.
But if those core values don't turn into something that motivates people or something that is shared and talked about regularly, it's a nice poster on the wall. It's something cool to talk about once at your annual retreat, and then it's like, wait, we didn't talk about it again. I have very few original ideas, but I saw somewhere the idea of like regular celebrations of your employees and the accomplishments they've made and connecting them to your core values. Because people want to be celebrated, and no one wants to feel like the work that they're doing is in a cavern. And there are ways that companies can do this no matter how big you are. Now, we're a small company, 35 employees. Sure, it's a little bit easier to celebrate the fact that, you know, Steve made a big sale. Rob made an, innovative idea with how we're going to handle our data conversion. It is a little easier to point those things out on a small team, but I believe that even within a large organization, so you've got 300 employees, I think you can celebrate those things on smaller scales. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a company that has 300 employees has departments that have 35 employees. And so I think your celebrations have to get broken down into a way in which people feel like their work matters and it feels like they're known by their coworkers and by their superiors. So we've got four of our core values that we came up with, and the cornerstone core value is a servant's heart. And so we believe that everything, the good work, all flows out of a service mentality. That sure, I am here, to do a job to make some money, but I'm here to serve people. That's the cornerstone mentality. Our second core value is innovator's mind, and it's essentially a rebrand around the age-old continuous improvement. So no process is ever fully complete. The cake, sure, we baked a cake last year and it was great, but we're baking a cake again this year, and let's rethink how we bake the cake. So yeah, innovator's mind. You're never really done. The third one is playful spirit. We only hired you because we think you're talented. And if we're only going to hire talented people, then that means that these talented people can go and get jobs at lots of places. And so let's make this fun. Keep it lighthearted. And then the fourth one sometimes is the most fun one to celebrate, but it's owner's grit. One of my favorite quotes is a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote where he says, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." You don't just stumble into greatness, right? Now, everyone doesn't have to be as extroverted as I am. Greatness is not extroversion. But greatness is energy about something, excitement about something. Now, the way that people expel that energy is different, and that's great. That's what makes us all unique. But that quote is tied in with this owner's grit, because what we ask people to do is to own your role. You're in customer support, you answer your phones, be the best. Be the best. That might be the only time that somebody calls our company this year. And that person might be in a meeting with the general manager when they're signing the check next year. Those are our core values. And so that all plays into how do we then celebrate them? And the way that we celebrate our core values is we use an application called Slack for communication internally. It helps us a lot. It cuts down a lot of emails. When someone makes an announcement about some interaction they had with a client, a new sale we made, some new integration that was built, etc., we will celebrate by using little emojis. Innovator's mind, owner's grit, thumbs up, owner's grit, servant's heart. That's kind of the day to day. It's a little silly, but there's something to the silliness about celebrating it that actually, it's actually wonderful. You almost make light of it, and then people actually join in on it. But then we take it to another level at a weekly check-in on Fridays. So when the team was a little bit smaller and before COVID-19 was in the house, we all would get around one big table. There's about 25 of us that could fit around one big table, and we would have a Friday lunch together. But what we started doing about 2.5, 3 years ago is we started really incorporating those core values every single Friday. And so what I ask our employees to do, I say every single day, when you see a person exhibiting a core value, call me. Let me know that you saw them do it, or send me a Slack message, send me an email. Servant's heart, owner's grit, whichever one they want to nominate them for. And then I put together a slideshow during this Friday lunch, which we no longer eat together in person. We just do it on Zoom. And I share everything at this point that has been nominated. But I like that the content comes from the people.
Well, it sounds like with the use of Slack that you didn't have a huge transition to the online, but talk about how you can still celebrate when everybody's spread out. Because I know EB had such the perfect office environment, very collaborative, very open, and now everybody's spread out at home.
Yeah, it's different when we're all on Zoom and there's 35 faces. You want it to be polished. So I have to prepare a little more.
If someone was job hunting, can you think of a question that they could ask to know whether or not there's a good company culture and a company culture of celebration there?
And an applicant asked me, they said, what would it take for you to leave this company?
Oh.
Like what's keeping you there? Why do you stay? And that provided a really great opportunity for me to really hammer into the culture piece and say, like the culture piece and the celebration piece, the camaraderie piece is certainly, the thing that is making me want to stay. I would tell somebody who's hunting for a job just to ask them, how often does your company communicate their core values, and how do they reinforce them?
Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.